Good afternoon, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here. Every time I come on a college campus, I'm kind of invigorated by that feeling. And when I came here a few moments ago, I was greeted by Brother Camacho and two young brothers. And I said to myself, it's just a good feeling to be back on a college campus. But we have some serious work to talk about. We have some serious things to do. And I know everyone is exhilarated with the election of President Obama. You should be exhilarated. It's a wonderful thing. And I'm 57 years old, and I for the life of me, I'm really hoping that I don't wake up from this dream. I never thought that I would see this day in this country. But I don't want that election of President Obama to make us go to sleep, to make us forget about our past, to make us forget about the things that we must do. And hopefully we will continue to exert the amount of pressure on American society that we must exert if we're going to move forward as people of color, as poor people, as the have-nots in the society. And when I first arrived on here today, I was thinking about one of my old college professors from 30-odd years ago. And I was in a speech class. I think it was the second class that I ever attended on college. My first class was a psychology class. And I went into this big lecture hall in the Playhouse at Hofstra University. And there's about 300 students in the class. I said, damn, is this where I belong? But the second class, was a much smaller class. And it was a speech class. And the speech professor, he told us the very first day that we were there, he said, look, when you're standing before people and you're speaking in front of people, try not to make people happy twice. He said, try not to make them happy to see you come and happy to see you go. So hopefully I will not make you happy twice today. In another one of my classes at Hofstra, I was a history major. And my very first time on the campus, I went into a course on the Hofstra campus. It was a Western civilization course. This was 1969. And the instructor said, I never will forget, his name was Jared Judd. Jared Judd, he said, look, black people have never made any significant contribution to the world. And then, I was just a naive little kid. And I even had my old notebook, and I wrote down what he said. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, write down what the instructor says. And so I wrote that down. Now, after class, he signaled for me, and I came up and saw him. He said, the policy of the university has changed somewhat. He said, while Western civilization is a requirement, we can substitute a black history course for Western civilization. He said, you might want to consider taking a black history course. So I said, I got to get out of this class any way I can. So I took this black history course, and as a consequence, my whole life changed as a result of taking this course. But one of the things that the instructor said in this course, I think it was about the second month, he told us a story about Queen Nzinga. Any of you ever heard of Queen Nzinga? She was a queen in Africa. And Queen Nzinga, she was from the Congo. And in the 16th century, the Portuguese position in the slave trade was threatened by England and by France. And as a result, the Portuguese could no longer engage in the slave trading of West Africa. So they shifted, the Portuguese shifted their slave trading activities to the Congo. And in the Congo, the Portuguese met this Queen Nzinga. And Queen Nzinga, she was determined never to accept the Portuguese conquest of her country. She was a powerful queen. Remember that name, Queen Nzinga. She said, look, Portuguese is never going to conquer my country. And she was an exceptional stateswoman. She was an exceptional military strategist. And she harassed and fought the Portuguese until the day she died. And so highly regarded was this Queen Nzinga that she was given a lavish funeral full of opulence and full of splendor at her death. And royalty throughout Africa attended her funeral. Words were spoken at her funeral from one of the highest men of the Congo called the Mani Congo. And those words have now drifted into the sea of forgetfulness. We don't remember what the Mani Congo said about Queen Nzinga. A speech was made by the Ashanti king, the king of one of the most powerful empires of West Africa, the Ashanti. But those words, have been forgotten. The Hausa prince came to Queen Nzinga's funeral, and he gave testimony into the powerful woman that Queen Nzinga was. But, no record exists of what he said. And the funeral for Queen Nzinga was about to end. The sovereigns, the monarchs, the prince, the kings, all those guys had spoken, the crowned heads of state, they all had their say. But the people, they weren't fulfilled at Queen Nzinga's funeral. The people, the very people like you and me, they weren't fulfilled. They heard from all these wise statesmen talking about how great Queen Nzinga was, talking about the things she did to fight against the Portuguese, talking about how Queen Nzinga kept them out of slavery, but they still were not fulfilled. And it was a simple act by Queen Nzinga's people, the people who she served. That simple act is what's best remembered about Queen Nzinga's funeral. All these heads of state, their words have been forgotten, but the act of the people has not been forgotten. When she died, so in awe of the great sense of Queen Nzinga were the people, so humbled by her death were the people, that they rushed in front of her casket and just stood in front of the casket, one by one, filing in front of the casket and reciting some kindness that Queen Nzinga had shown them, some valor, some narrating Queen Nzinga's story, telling about some triumph. Yet the people who knew her best, they hadn't forgotten about the bravery of Queen Nzinga. Now was their time to have a say about her life. The people who knew her best, the people who knew her up close and personal, now was their time to have their say. Now was their time to sing sorrow songs about Queen Nzinga. Queen Nzinga who inspired their lives. What testimonies were they presenting at that time? What songs were they singing that could properly reflect Queen Nzinga's legacy to them? History doesn't record their words. History doesn't record what they said. But Queen Nzinga had empowered them as an African people, and just perhaps, they were singing a song like a song that I like so much, Princes shall come out of Egypt. Princes shall come out of Egypt. Princes shall come out of Egypt. Ethiopia shall soon stretch forth her hand unto God. Oh, biblical refrain, talking about Moses leading the children of Israel out of Egypt. The children of Israel out of Egypt who were the most lowly people of that society. I love that song, Princes shall come out of Egypt. Not bums, not the downtrodden, not winos, not